everyone, it's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel and another paper crafting video tutorial. Today I'm going to be creating a couple of really fun hexagon flip cards using products from the Pink and Main July 2025 release. We're going to do some foiling, we're going to do some Olo coloring, and of course we're going to create this fun interactive card. We're going to start by foiling our backgrounds today using the Honeycomb Foilables panels. We're going to do one with the positive space, one with the negative space, and we're going to use this really pretty gold Cheerfoil here to foil our panels. I have my Pink and Main Mini Mink set on. I think I set it on 3 or 4. It looks like, and I'm going to run it through, and I found I got a good foiled result with this. So you're simply going to let it heat up, run that through your Mink machine, and it's going to foil your panel. Now, as much as I love foiled panels as is, we are going to add a bit of distress with some spatter. And then we're going to dress it up with gems and all of our adorable stamped and colored and die cut images. So there is my first honeycomb, which is obviously the majority is white. Now we're going to do another foiled panel, and the majority of this is going to be the foiling. So this one has more of the toner on it, and it just gives you a different look. We're actually going to mix and match these two panels on our card fronts. I really like the combination of the two together, and that worked out really nice. And you could do this with any of the different foilable panels from this release or other releases. So there is my beautiful foiled panel. One of the corners didn't foil great. I'm going to run it back through a little bit and see if I can get a little bit more of that foiled. While that was working, I did work on die cutting the components for my card. Out of each of the panels, I was able to die cut the two card panels for our hexagon flip card plus the hexagon shape itself. Then using the flip die, we are going to take a basic card front. This is a card front from Simon Says Stamp, and we're going to position our die here on the front like so. And we are going to run that through our die cut machine. And we're going to do this 2 times. And then you're going to flip the card front back like this. So when it opens, when the recipient opens the card, it just flips that hexagon, kind of revealing where you can handwrite your sentiment inside of the card. We're of course going to dress this up a little bit, but I love starting with a basic colored card base here. I think it's going to add a lot to our card design. And then you can see that I've die cut some of the other components from the hexagon flip card for my card front. Oh, it's going to be so cute. Okay, so what we're going to do first is we are going to assemble our hexagon flip cards before we take the Hey Honey set and stamp and color in our images. I'm going to take a little bit of the, of course, honey colored Simon Says Stamp Positively Saturated ink, and we're going to ink around the edges of our panel just to give a little distress to our actual card base before we apply our foiled panels. I want to do all of these steps first because I am going to add spatter after I have adhered my panels to all of the components, I guess. And because of that, I want it to be able to dry while I stamp and color my images. I often like to try to think through the assembly of my card when I'm working on a design. And if I know that there are going to be things that need some dry time, I try to do those first. That way I can be working on other things like coloring, or maybe there's a bunch of die cutting or assembly, etc. I'll be able to work on those while it's drying so that hopefully by the time I'm done with those other things, I can assemble the card. So you can see that I have my 2 panels here, one on the right, one on the left. And for this one, we are using the panel that has more of the foiling on it. Then we are going to take the hexagon that is the design that is foiled, place it on our die cut scalloped hexagon shape. This is from some Tuscan Spellbinders cardstock, so a little bit darker shade of yellow, and we're going to place that in the center. So we're getting both of the panels on our card, and we're just going to reverse that for the other one. One of the things I like about this, and one of the reasons I chose to do 2 cards today, is that the cards are basically similar. They might have a few different, bumblebee elements to them, but I was able to utilize both of the panels I foiled, and I was able to die cut and use the majority of those foiled panels, I guess. So I didn't have a lot of waste, which I really, really liked. Now you could obviously use the panels as is, but it was fun to be able to showcase how you can take a foiled panel and die cut it and use it in different ways. So I'm simply inking up my second panel now, and then we're going to start adding our little honeycomb design around our card. One on the right, one on the left, and then we're just reversing the center. We're still using that same Tuscan scallop hexagon shape, but this time we're using the hexagon that has all of the foiling. Once we have this, I am going to grab my spatter box. I like to use a plastic box. I just get a cheap one from, I think it's from Walmart. And I am going to take some of the Onyx Silk product from Spellbinders. And we're going to place both of our cards right here in our box, and we are going to tap the product all over. And I was really generous with my product application here. I wanted quite a lot of this spatter. I think it adds a really fun, distressed look without being overly distressed. Especially, I feel like these cards are, I hesitate to say simplistic, but they don't have lots and lots of different things. We've got foiling, of course, and then the fun interactive element, but the majority of the rest of the card is some stamped and embossed sentiments, and of course the adorable Hey Honey bumblebees. So what I did for my cards is I decided, instead of making both of them exactly the same, I would pick 6 images and use 3 on each. So one is going to have a bumblebee holding the honey dipper that's dripping, some flowers, and then the little bumblebee sitting that I'm going to have hiding back behind. The other one's going to have a little bumblebee holding a flower, the bumblebee with the honey pot, and then an extra honey pot. I thought it was cute to look like he has 2 of them. I'm also stamping the same sentiments for both. I stamped the phrases from the Hey Honey set, the Hey Honey and Sweet Wishes on Your Special Day. I thought these worked great. Obviously for birthdays, but I think it could work for lots of different occasions as well. We've stamped these on some black cardstock using our clear embossing ink, and we're heat embossing with white embossing powder. Once I have embossed both of these, I am going to take some Simon Says Stamp sentiment strip dies, and we're going to die cut these into little tiny sentiment strips. I really love not only the font used for these sentiments, but the size. I love the little small size. And if you've watched any of my other videos, you know that I love combining multiple sentiment strips on a card, and these work great. It is time to color our images. I am going to speed up the coloring just a little bit in my video today. If you want to watch it slower, you can definitely click the gear and slow this down or speed it up depending on what you want to do. I've listed the marker colors that I'm using down in the description box below the video here on YouTube, as well as on my blog post that coordinates with this video for easy reference. I am using Olo markers today. I love Olo markers, and I love that my blending pairs, the way I have chosen to use my markers is I have blending pairs end to end, which makes it super easy for coloring. I ended up going in and coloring in the faces of my bumblebees first. I know they don't really have actual little light color faces, but these bumblebees do because their faces are just so sweet and cute. We'll keep our blacks and yellows for the rest of the bumblebees. And I also decided not to incorporate any other colors really into my card other than like a light blue violet for the wings and some greens for the leaves, because I really wanted to focus on the cheery yellow color. I really love monochromatic yellow cards. I love monochromatic cards of any kind, but I felt like the yellow was just really impactful and very happy and cheerful. Next, I'm using some cool gray markers to color in the black section of my bumblebees, cool gray 7 and 5. And I just kind of built that color up. I started kind of outlining with my cool gray 7, went in with cool gray 5, and then I did end up going back with more of the color 7 just to deepen and darken. Now I'm using some blue violet colors, and at first I was like, oh, I think these are a little too dark. I wish I'd used a little bit lighter. But once I went in with my 0 marker and kind of blended that out, I like how the wings look. And in the finished cards, I like that they have just a little bit of that violet hint to them, but it's not overwhelming. Then we're going to use some of my favorite yellow-orange coloring pairs, yellow-orange 2.5 and 2.3, to color in the bumblebee yellow stripes. We're also going to use these same colors plus yellow-orange 2.0 to color in the flowers. That's just going to be that lighter area out on the very tip. We're going to use some brown colors in 4.6 and 4.3, I think, for the center of our little flowers, as well as the honey pots here in a little bit. We're also going to use the browns for that, and the honey dipper. After I colored in one of the bumblebees, I decided to kind of go more of the mass-producing route, I believe. So I'm going to go in and do all of my cool grays, then we can do all of the yellows, etc. It's a lot of repetition here, and these bumblebees are adorable. One of the things I really like about not only this set, first of all, I love all things bee, but I also like the size of these images. They're very colorable, if that is actually a word. It's not, I just made that up. But I like that they're not so super teeny tiny, so it allows you to do a nice little easy blend like this. You don't have to go over the top, but I love that they are easy to color and they make a nice statement on your card without overwhelming it. So not too big, not too small. Going to color in this little sitting bee. I don't know what it is about him, but I think he's so cute. Probably because he's kind of crisscross applesauce, which I think is adorable. Let me see what else. I know I didn't use all of the images from this set. I think, oh, I actually used all of the bees. The only things I didn't use is the actual little beehive and some hexagons and then like the little bee trail. So I did use a lot of the images from this set today, and I think they're really cute. I even think, just like to go over the top, adding some extra bees maybe inside the flipper. I didn't do that, but I think on the back side it would be cute to maybe do the beehive and another bumblebee on each of the cards. Or you could do a hidden sentiment on the back of that hexagon shape. I think that would be cute, and that allows you a little room to handwrite your greeting so that it's still hidden in that flipper section. Now, these kind of cards are extremely easy to make, but impactful. We all love interactive cards, and this is a wonderful one. You can make your own interactive cards with your own cardstock, or you can do like I did today and take some pre-made card bases and make that little flipper design. You could even, wouldn't it be cute to maybe put like little Santa hats on your bumblebees and have some little fun bumblebee Christmas cards? I think that would be adorable as well. Okay, our little honey pots are coming to life. We're going to go move on to our flowers now and finish coloring these. One of the great things about pink and Maine is that obviously you saw with the hexagon flipper die that the dies are pink. You always know that it's a pink and Maine die because they are pink. The other amazing thing, they are not tabbed. There is no cutting apart any of the dies. If you've been here a while, you know my love for non-tabbed dies. I love not having to use my wire cutters. I love not having those little pieces of metal flying around my craft room, worrying about, you know, putting on protective eyewear, all of that good stuff. I am loving that so many companies are now having non-tabbed dies, including Pink and Main. I love that they're pink as well, because it definitely helps know that those are Pink and Main dies that you're working with, and it's absolutely awesome. So here are my yellow green colors, adding that in. We're going to grab the coordinating dies. We're going to die cut these. I did go ahead and add some little white highlights to all of my images before die cutting. Anything black, if you have watched any of my other videos that has critters or anything that has eyes or noses that need maybe a little bit of emphasis, I love using a black glaze pen for that. I will do that after I die cut. Oftentimes when you're running that through your die cut machine, it will flatten that glossy product. And so I don't want it to flatten out at all. I'll do my white before I die cut, but I will wait to do anything for the eyes until after I have die cut all of my images. I felt like all of these really benefited from a little bit of white highlights today. So cute. I just can't get over how cute these images are. I knew instantly that this was a set I wanted to use, and I know a lot of you are huge fans of bumblebees just like I am. Okay, once we have all of these die cut, it is time to put these in place on your card. Now, a couple things I want to mention. You do want to pay attention to where you place your images on this. Because it folds open and flips, you're going to need to place your images either right on that hexagon. I also wanted one of mine to be hanging off the top. So on the front of the card, you know, it's kind of hanging off the top, but you still want it to open nicely. So it needs to be just to the left of that crease line. I hope that makes sense. You could also have images sitting on the inside of the card, kind of where that bee was sitting right there. But just like the bee on the top or the image on the top that we're going to make sure is not across that crease line, we also want to make sure anything that we put on the hexagon is not hanging down too low to impede the opening of this flip card. So that looks like everything's working great there. I've placed my 3 images. We're going to glue down our sentiment strips right in place, and I'm going to kind of shift them a little bit. I like them slightly offset, and I am using some of the Simon Says Stamp craft glue to glue everything down. One of the questions I've been getting lately, the craft glue is new. Do I like it? I absolutely love it. I am going to be filling my empty glue press bottle with this glue and using it in my glue press. I love the glue. I think it is amazing. I used it for everything on these cards today, in fact. So again, making sure that when I place my bumblebee up here, that my card still opens nicely. And then we've got this cute little guy. He's holding his honey pot, but he has another one down right next to him. I thought that was kind of funny and cute. He's almost kind of like Winnie the Pooh, where he can't have enough honey, right? So we're going to pop both of these right here. Again, using the same sentiments for both. I kind of just kept that. I liked these greetings, so I went ahead and used the same ones. And then the final thing we're going to add to our card is some gems. I don't think these cards need a whole lot else. They've got beautiful foiling, adorable images, great sentiments, that spatter, but a few of these Pink and Main browns gems scattered, and I did use the lightest color from the pack for this, and I use the smallest size as well. I'm going to scatter those about. Also, don't forget, I'm going to take my black jelly roll pen and add some detail to those eyes. I almost forgot, so I'm going to do that really quick. Now, for any gem type stickers, I like using the sharp pointer piercing tip, pardon me, from an embellishment wand to pick them up and pop them in place. Kind of helps keep those natural oils from your fingers off of the sticky part of the sticker. And I'm going to be pretty generous with my stickers. I think I ended up doing like 6 on each, if I'm not mistaken. And that adds just a tiny extra touch of sparkle that really goes nicely with our gold Cheerfoil foiling. So just kind of trying to figure out where to place all of those. Again, be mindful of that crease. You don't want any of them where your card folds. Now these cards will fit very nicely right inside of your A2 size envelope, and I think they make adorable little cards. I hope you are encouraged to maybe try one of these flip cards, pick up some of these products. In the flip set, there actually is a die cut bumblebee, so you could completely create a card just from that die set itself without the addition of any other bumblebee products if you don't want to, which is amazing. I'm going to add a couple more here, and my cards are all done. So here is an up-close look at both of the finished cards. Thank you so much for joining me today for these 2 Hexagon flip cards featuring Pink and Main products. The supplies I used are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for joining me today for another paper crafting tutorial. I love being able to share with this incredible community of crafters. I want to give a huge shout out and special thank you to my amazing Patreon members. If you're interested in joining Patreon, please click the link in the description underneath the video here on YouTube. Patreon is a private community where you can support more of what I do. There is exclusive content, information, and behind-the-scenes content. Top-tier members will receive a handmade birthday card during your birthday month, access to D-Stash, and monthly exclusive lives, plus so much more. We would love to have you join our growing community.